All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
Teri, there you talk about your writer's journey, right? It was the dream, and now you're living in the reality of it. But then you had the life that happened in between. Talk to us a little bit about Teri during that time. I know that you're on husband number 3. This is a safe space, no judgment. That's fine. That's great. This was your journey, but there were some challenging moments. You mentioned 14 years in a relationship that was not healthy, that was not feeding you. Talk to us a little bit about your creative spark during that season of life, and where was it?
Yeah. So in my first marriage, my children's father is a wonderful person, and he and I were wholly unsuited for one another. Like, we didn't know what we were looking for. I thought I knew what I was looking for. It's not what I needed. We had these 4 beautiful children. I don't regret that marriage because of the children we got from it. I really think that we should have just remained friends. We made really good friends, but we did not make good partners. We come at life so differently. There wasn't a middle ground. In the middle, we were both miserable. Like there just wasn't anything. We just couldn't find a happy medium. When I divorced him, I started dating this guy who seemed to be a real go-getter. He was on top of life, and it was like, that's what I'm looking for. And it turns out that he was a real go-get-her, not a go-getter, but a go-get-her. And he was very much a chameleon while we were dating. I don't know. He's a narcissist. He knows how to reel you in. He played all of the right chords for me. You know, it just seemed perfect. And we got married. And within 6 months, I absolutely knew I had made a mistake. But I'm also probably one of the most bullheaded people that you've ever met in your life. And I was not going to be divorced twice. Yeah. Because I already felt like I had a big scarlet letter. Here I am divorced with 4 children. And now I'm going to be divorced again. Oh, no, I'm not. You watch me fix this. Unfortunately, you can't fix a relationship if the other person isn't also wanting to fix the relationship. And in that 14 years, I started out, I think, being very aware how bad things were. And by the end, he had bullied me long enough that I didn't believe in myself anymore. And I don't even know when it happened. Like I have tried to sit and say, like, could I identify? And I really can't. It just slowly but surely, I became someone who would go to the grocery store to pick peanut butter and be worried that I would pick the wrong kind. And that's not me. Like, if you know me now and you think, Teri, you were never that way. And it was like, no, I was. I didn't have any friends, partially because he did a really good job of making sure I didn't have friends, and partially because I knew my situation was ugly and I didn't want people to see it, right? He had alienated most of my family. My children were still with me, but my extended family, pretty much he had alienated. I just didn't believe in myself. 2 years before I left him, I kind of took a little break. I went and stayed. My son was an adult, married. I went and stayed with him for about a week. We had this big fight. He would always take our money, and then he would open up a new account and put it in the new account, and I wouldn't have access to it. So this had happened for like the 3rd time in our marriage. And I went and stayed with my son, and my son said, Mom, you've got to leave him. Well, I wasn't ready to hear that. And so, of course, I dig in my heels and I start making excuses. But one of the things that I said to him was, I don't know what I would do. I would end up being a Walmart greeter and living in a cardboard box on the side of the road. And I believed that. I have a college education. I am an intelligent woman. It blows my mind. I look now and I think, who was that poor, sad woman? But he had beat me down, not physically, but emotionally, until I honestly believed that if I left him, I would end up being homeless and living in a box on the side of the street.
So just that understanding of your worth and the value and what you would contribute to society or life.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was just gone. I just didn't have it anymore. And so it was interesting. After that, I went back. I told him that I wanted us to get marital counseling. However, I did not want to go forward with marital counseling until he signed an agreement that said that he wouldn't take the money anymore. I said, you can't do that by accident. You can yell by accident, like just in a heat of the moment, but you can't accidentally, without thinking about it, transfer all the money into a new account. And I said, I am not going forward with this marriage until you sign this agreement. And the agreement specifically stated, if you take the money again, I will leave and I will never come back.
Yeah.
There is no forgiving over this. It took him 2 months of therapy to sign it. And that's the only thing we talked about for 2 months in therapy, because I refused to go any further in the therapy until he signed it.
Yeah.
And he did. And then in April of 2017, he took the money.
Of course he did.
Because he needed to know that I wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
Right. And he took the money. I found out he took the money at 7 p.m. on a Thursday and at 4 p.m. on a Friday. All my things were in storage and I was on my way to live with my son until I could figure out where I was going to be. And I didn't go back. And to this day, I am so grateful he took that money.
Yeah.
I mean, I ended up getting my portion back. People always ask that. And the answer is yes. But I would still be there.
That's what I was going to say.
You would still be trying.
Yeah.
I would still be trying to fix it when it wasn't fixable.
Mm-hmm.
I had one line in the sand and it was not a hard one to stay away from.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I'm really grateful. Of all the things that he could have done, I am so grateful he chose to break the one rule, the one thing I asked. So,
yeah. Well, narcissists need that control. And that was very much a control thing for him.
Oh, yeah. He was certain that I would come back.
So what gave you the courage to draw that line? Because it looks like up to then you were terrified that you were going to be homeless and under a bridge, and then something switched. Was it what your son said? Was it?
Maybe it was partially what my son said. I also, at the time, I had my own personal therapist.
Okay.
And I think she knew I needed to be out of that relationship, but she never said so because she knew that saying so would mean I would walk away from our relationship. Mm-hmm. But she had said to me, we talk a lot about your relationship and it doesn't seem to be getting a lot better. People have a lot of things in their life other than just their one main relationship. There's their work life, there's their friends, there's their extended family. When's the last time you worked on any of those things? Because I have a lot of clients who are with their marriage, but are happy because overall they're happy and then they have an acceptable marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so she started having me work on all of these other pieces of me, which I think started giving me a little bit of a courage. And then by the time he took the money, I had friends again, friends he didn't know about. Mm-hmm. These were people that I would meet for lunch away. He didn't know these. And they weren't even people that I kept because I moved far away. But it was, I recognized I can still make friends. I can still do things. I had started working from home a little bit where I was doing writing for small businesses. So not creative writing, but, stuff that they needed on their website and things like that. And I had built that business up pretty substantially. I just kind of had gotten myself into a position, and I know that's what my therapist was doing for me, was she was putting me in a position so that I could do what I needed to do when I was ready to do it.
Yeah. She was giving you all the courage that you needed, the support system that you had lost, the job that gave you that feeling of worth. Yeah.
Where I wasn't going to have to live in a box, right? Yeah. All those things. Exactly. And so when I walked away, I felt like a whole person instead of, I don't know what I felt like before, but I didn't feel whole. And this time, now, that's not to say that when I left that relationship, I became just perfect, because I wasn't. I was a complete mess, and I was an emotional mess, and I was anxiety ridden. And I'm not saying that it was beautiful, but I had enough, whatever it was, to walk away. And my son said to me, "Mom, you can't go back." And I said, you're right. I can't and I won't.
Yeah.
And I didn't. It was like that was my time. That's when I knew. And sometimes people say to me, well, what can I do to support a friend that I know is in a relationship like this? And the answer to me is don't push them to do what they're not ready to do.
Yeah.
Right.
But be there for them so that when they are ready, they know they have you in their corner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had so many people that had told me to get out of that relationship that I didn't. And then I had talked with them and tried to convince them why I should stay.
Yeah.
But now I didn't feel like I could go to them.
Yeah.
Right.
So when something was bad, I can't go to them because they already don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. And that's not what I need. And so, yeah, my feeling is support your friend in everything that she needs, but don't badmouth her relationship until she's ready to leave.
Yeah.
And when she's ready to leave, be there to help her get out, because a person can't leave until they're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Regardless of what the world says, they'll look and they'll say, oh, well, they should leave. Oh, that's
so
obvious.
easy
You should
to
just
say.
leave. And it's like, it's a beautiful statement. And the truth is you're right. They should, but they can't, because there's 1,000 variables that you're unaware of. And until they kind of make some kind of alignment in that person's head,
Yes.
they can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more than just the physical leaving, right? It's not just, it's the emotional and the financial and the environment, like all of the factors that come into play with making that choice. But I think that also when you're talking to the support system for individuals that are in this situation, I think also just stepping into that space where your counselor recognized that you were unplugged in every other area of life.
Yes.
And so I think just gently reminding your friends, maybe you take a moment for yourself, or are you finding fulfillment in this area of life, and pushing them into that, or not pushing them, but pushing their attention in that direction.
Yes. Kind of guiding them, or doing something like, I know it's difficult for you to get away, but anytime that you can, let me know. We'll go to lunch.
Love it.
Like I'll be that partner in crime with you when you can get away.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things, just so that they know that they're not alone. Because especially in an emotional abusive relationship, he made me very much feel like I had no one on my side. He also made me believe that no one would believe that he was doing any of the things that he was doing. He would say all the time, he'd say, they're never going to believe you. And I believed him that they wouldn't believe me. And it turns out that people do believe you, but you don't know it at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Teri, where was the author during this time? Did she exist?
There was a piece of me that wanted to be an author and knew it, but I was terrified, because when you create a character and put them on a page, that's like a baby. That's like, it's part of me. It's part of my soul. When I was writing for small businesses, that wasn't my soul. That was their information, and I massaged it into something that sounded decent for the website. And it if you didn't like it, it didn't hurt me any. Like it wasn't my soul. When you write a book, a character, a scene, a short story, that's part of me. And I'm putting it out there, and I was damaged. And I didn't have a safe space. So let's say that I put it out there and someone looked at it and said, well, I don't like that. Well, who do I go to?
Yeah.
You'd have been devastated in that.
Yes. And it would have been one more affirmation that I was no good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I couldn't do it. But I got out of that relationship, and I'm not kidding you. The words, it was like, I'd say within 6 weeks of leaving him, I had my first terrible manuscript.
Wow. Yeah.
It was terrible, but I wrote 50,000 words.
Yeah.
Like out it came.
Yeah.
And so I think that it was there. It was waiting, but it was just my creativity knew better than to let itself out in a bad situation where someone could hate it and hurt me.
Yeah. Did you find the writing, once you were done, that 6 weeks after, did you find that therapeutic or healing coming out of a relationship like that?
Maybe, but there was just so much. There was just so much damage and I didn't even know where to begin with it. I was still hiding my writing. Like no one even really knew I was doing it because I still, even though I was now had safe space and I was pretending on the outside that I was good. I wasn't, like, just to give you an idea, I used to leave my house when I was married to the abuser and go swim. And I would go swim laps, mostly to get away from him. Mm-hmm. And it was something that I did that he didn't find offensive. Like, it was okay that I went and swam laps. And so this was kind of this escape thing. Now I'm out on my own. I love to swim laps.
Yeah.
I get a YMCA membership. I go to get in the pool and I had a panic attack.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't even get in the pool to go swimming, which I love to do, because everything, it was like this was my escape from this bad thing. And now I can't even enjoy it for what it is. It took me months to be able to enjoy the fact that I was going swimming. The first several times that I finally got in the water, I had to take a friend with me. Please come with me to go swimming. And I think, wow, that's like craziness. But it was just, so no, I wasn't really sharing that I was writing because I was still a crazy person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was just, like I was still crazy. And then when I met Bruce, I was still a crazy person. And I had no intention of ever dating, ever marrying again, ever. Like, I was done. I'd done it twice. I failed at it twice. Nobody in their right mind does, something the third time. That's like stupid, right?
Let's take a quick break.
Hey there, Reignite Resilience listeners. I've got some exciting news that I cannot wait to share with you. We have just launched our brand new weekly Think Letter, and it is packed with powerful insights to fuel your journey towards unshakable resilience. Now, picture this. Each week, you'll receive a daily dose of inspiration, practical strategies, and thought-provoking ideas directly in your inbox. It's like having a personal resilience coach right at your fingertips. And we've designed the Think Letter to be your go-to resource for cutting-edge research, real-life stories, and actionable tips that you can apply. So head on over to reigniteresilience.com and sign up for the Think Letter today. Now, let's dive back into today's episode. No, third time's the charm is what they say, isn't it?
Yes, apparently. But Bruce, I asked him all the time, like, what did you see? Because I was a crazy, damaged, anxious individual.
Yeah.
And I think he saw beyond all of that. And then when we went on that ride, it cleared up all of it. Like, you can't ride 3,102 miles as a non-cyclist and say, I can't do things. You can't say I'm incapable, And so I started to like unpack those things, realize them for what they were, put them in a box and shove them somewhere out of the way where every now and then things will happen. But now when it happens, I'll think, whoa, where did that come from? You recognize it for what it is. Mm-hmm. You say, okay, well, I felt that. That was ugly. And then you put it back in the box and put it away because you don't need it anymore. Mm-hmm. But it took that ride. Yeah. I think doing something so outside of my comfort zone and succeeding at it that it was like, oh, wow, this is, yeah, I don't know. It was exactly what I needed.
That's incredible.
I know. It's amazing. And for it to come up to the cycle and the ride across the country, which congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, that's huge.
And you were absolutely a cyclist. I know that you said as a non-cyclist. I feel that makes you a cyclist in the fullest degree.
Well, it's funny. I still don't feel like a cyclist. I look at these people who go out every day and they cycle and they're very trim and they're very fit, and I'm not those things. And I don't know. I kind of feel like a fake cyclist.
There's nothing fake about riding your bike across the country.
I know.
3,000 miles. No.
Yes. No, 3,102. Yeah. And I know where the 2 is. I think people say to me, why don't you just say 3,100? It's like, I know where those 2 miles were.
Because there's two.
Have
need to be
Ringing
cut.
for 2 miles? That's why.
That's
That is a long distance.
Especially the last 2 miles. Are you kidding?
Yes. Are you kidding? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But those 2 miles are the last 2 miles over the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, wow.
That's
And
awesome.
I know those 2 miles. And it's like, I'm not, they have to stay on my 3,102 mile
Exactly.
definition,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
I love that.
Oh
I
my
love it.
gosh.
Teri, the vision that I get, just so you know, because your brain has all of the film that's rolling all the time.
Right.
When you started writing, and I'm saying this to you from a place of love because you're on the other side of it. It's, when the pipe opens and initially the water is coming through and it's kind of sludge and it's gross before you get the clear water. That's the vision that I get, is that you had this outpouring of words, but you can now recognize, in this season of life that you just had 73 versions of yuck, and it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
And that's, that's fine.
Well, and one of the things that I recognize is, let's just take it into another creative medium and think of someone famous. So let's say Picasso. What is the likelihood that the very first time he picked up a paintbrush that it was any good?
Oh, it was not.
Probably not.
Yes.
Because he didn't know how to make the paint work on his brush correctly. He didn't know how to mix the colors the way he wanted to. He didn't really know what he wanted to do. He was just, those first things, although they'd be valuable today because he's now famous, they weren't good.
Yeah.
They were him experimenting. And that's what my first several manuscripts were. It was me figuring out, I know how a story goes when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I've written it. Ooh, that's not how a story goes. What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so my next manuscript, I'm going to fix that. Oh, that's better, but this piece still is really bad. Okay, so what does a real story look like? Okay, well, I'm going to fix that. And you just, until you found a space. And what is great is, I told you I just dealt with my editor today. It's the same editor I've had for my last 3 novels. So she's been with me, and she said, "Oh, I could really see your growth as an author."
Wow. That's awesome.
And it was like,
That's
I
huge.
can just be done now. I'm happy, So I think, but my hope is that when I write my next one, that she can say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be done.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, well, I've hit the pinnacle. I want to keep trying to improve the craft. And so, for people who want to write, you have to come to a point where you say it's good enough to get out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you wait for perfection, you'll never have it.
Uh-huh.
My first novel won some awards. It did pretty well. This novel my third novel that's out is doing a whole lot better. It's a better novel.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have put the first one out.
Absolutely.
Right. I love that. Congratulations. That's
Thanks.
amazing. Congratulations on the entire journey, right? Because it's all brought you to where you are today. Yeah. Yeah. Teri, what is next? What's on the horizon for you?
Oh, I have so many things going on. So I have a podcast called Online for Authors. And so I read people's books and talk with authors like me who are indie small press authors who have trouble finding a platform. So that's one thing I do. I'm starting what I'm calling a bite-sized podcast, where I'm getting authors to read the first paragraph of their book. And I'm calling it the book hook. And so it's more or less, did it hook you and would you put it on your TBR? So that's going to get started in January. I've got the book coming out in the spring, that Peg Unhinged, Peg Unmoored, Peg something. I have a short story coming out in an anthology in December, and another short story coming out in an anthology in May. So one of them is called Feisty Deeds 2, and the other one is called Carolina Tides. I'm thinking of another children's book, so I may be doing something along that line. And I already have an idea for my next manuscript, but I just can't focus on it until I get this one edited and going.
Yeah, so you're not doing a whole lot.
Nothing. No. I sit around a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You just do nothing.
Just twiddling her thumbs.
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead and call me and ask me to get on a committee. I have plenty of time.
You have plenty of time.
Perfect.
She's running for city council.
Yes.
Yeah.
You work with authors with the finished product. Do you also work with authors in terms of training or workshops or mentorship as well?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, but not officially.
Okay.
Like I have a lot of authors locally that I work with. I've done a couple of workshops that are marketing related. I've found that in general, new authors, young, meaning young in terms of number of books you've got out there, don't know anything about marketing. I didn't. My first book came out. I just thought it was going to sell itself. I didn't know I was supposed to sell it. I had no idea about that. And so I learned very quickly. I just dove right in and said, I've got to figure this out. And so I do a lot of marketing type things with people. And I love doing that. Something else that I'm hoping to do is I'd like to start public speaking.
Oh, okay.
So that's using my 10 little rules for a double-butted adventure. I would like to kind of use that as the springboard into public speaking. So, yeah, but I don't have anything. I have nothing going on.
Nothing going on. Nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
If you have one piece of advice for our listeners, either aspiring authors, or not at all, what would that piece of advice be for us today, Teri?
Yeah. So my one piece of advice, it could be about being an author, but it's really just about life. And it's, if you have a bucket list, throw it away.
Okay.
I hate the idea of a bucket list because you do not want to leave this earth with a whole list of things you wish that you had accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, look at your bucket list, find the one thing that speaks to you the most, and then find one thing you can do today to move you toward doing that thing. Even if it's going to be a 5-year process. What's one thing you can do today to get started?
Okay.
I love that. And I'm a bucket list person, but as you said it, it also made me realize if we spend our entire lives focused on the bucket list, we're missing all of the magic that's happening around us in those present moments too.
Well, and not only that, but let's assume, we didn't really talk about this, but my husband, Bruce, was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is an incurable brain cancer, and he passed away in January.
Oh, wow.
So I have this beautiful marriage. I finally have it all figured out, and I lose my husband.
Yeah.
If we hadn't gone on that bicycle ride when we went, if we had kept it as a bucket list item, it would be something that neither he nor I got to do.
Yeah.
Right. And a cancer diagnosis comes up quickly. One day he was fine, and the next day he was not.
Yeah.
Right. And then what do? When he died, he didn't have a bucket list. He had things that he had either completed or that he was working on. And I think that that's just a better feeling.
I love
to
that.
know that I was working toward it. Even if you didn't get to accomplish it, that you were aiming for a goal and you were doing something. So I hate bucket lists. That's
okay.
I love it.
Wow.
Thank you. That's beautiful, Teri. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your personal story. Thank you for sharing your author's journey. Very inspiring. So thank you very much. We will make sure that we put your contact information in our show notes so that our listeners can reach out and find you, and definitely put your podcast information so that they can come over and find your pod as well.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. And congrats on the new one, the bite-sized piece that will launch here in January. That's exciting. That's fun. This is a world and a space that we really enjoy. So we know that our goal and our hope is that we're making a difference. And I know that you're doing the same. So thank you for continuing that work.
Yes.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh, absolutely. And for our listeners, you all know the deal. If you want to know what's going on in the world of Reignite Resilience, head on over to reigniteresilience.com or find us on Facebook and Instagram at Reignite Resilience Podcast. Until next time, we will see you all soon. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience Podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.